Hello, in today's video I'm going to be making 4 different animal rings using polymer clay, and I'll be using 3 different methods, so you can see which one you like the best and follow along, or just hang out here. I'll be using a ring mandrel that I bought online, but if you don't have one, you could just use some cylindrical object, such as like a cookie cutter or a paintbrush to do this. The first ring that I made was a cow, and for this method I began by rolling out some beige clay for the main body, and then I added some brown spots because cows have spots. My brown clay was very hard and chunky, so I added some Sculpey translucent clay, and you can do this with any clay and it's gonna make it softer without changing the color too much. For this method, I used a blade to cut out the part that I want to be the ring, instead of immediately shaping the clay into a ring, if that makes sense, but I'll show you later in the video how I do that. I know I'm really terrible at explaining, but basically this way the ring is gonna have sharper edges. I put the clay on the mandrel and blended the edges together. Then I realized that I pressed too hard and I made the clay stick to the mandrel, and to get the ring out, I put it in the fridge for a while to harden it. Once the clay stiffened, I didn't want it to get stuck to the mandrel again, so I used some flour on the inside of the ring. Then I added all the details to the cow, such as the cow's muzzle, I think it's called, its ears and eyes. Before putting the ring into the oven, I took it out of the mandrel and put it on a tray with baking paper. Once the ring was baked, I used a blade to scrape off any dust that was stuck to the clay, and I coated the cow in a layer of UV resin. The next ring that I decided to make was a brown bear, and instead of making him sharp and small, I tried making him chunky and a bit more smoother or softer. Also, here's what I meant by shaping the clay into a ring instead of cutting it into a ring. This method makes the ring seem less sharp. For the bear's ears, I made a brown oval, and then I placed a smaller, darker brown oval inside it, and then I split the ear in half. Well, not really, I didn't split the ear, I just split the oval to make 2 ears, if that makes sense. I blended the ears onto the ring, added the nose and eyes, and then the ring was ready to bake. Once the ring had baked, I again scraped off all dust and random stuff that was stuck to the ring and glazed it. Since I kept having the issue of my ring sticking to the mandrel, for the third method, I covered the mandrel in a layer of foil. This is actually what I was going to do at the beginning of the video, but when I researched what other people were doing, for some reason no one else was covering their mandrels with foil, so I didn't think that that was going to be an issue. Now I'm making a duck ring, and you can see that I really struggled with the clay, and translucent Sculpey clay helps so much, so if you're having the same issue, I highly suggest that you try it. I'm not too sure what to say, as this duck was quite simple to do. For the details, I just added an orange beak and indented it. Since there was more space in the mandrel, I decided to make another ring on top of the duck. The last ring that I made is a frog, and to do this I used leftover green clay from when I made the earrings last week. I again went for a very simple design, so this is pretty self-explanatory. To remove the rings, I cut the top and bottom parts of the foil and put it in the oven. And once they were baked, it was really easy to remove them from the foil. Those are all the rings complete. Thank you for watching this video and enjoy the final reveal.